If I hear one more time, as a prosecutor, I never asked someone if they were a Republican or Democrat. I only ever asked, are you okay? If I hear that one more time without her being forced to answer for what seems to be an emerging pattern by her designated wife guy, as far as the way he treats women in his life who become inconvenient or who anger him, then I really don't know what further evidence we need that the mainstream media is actively working to elect Kamala and Tim.
Let me tell you something else you do. If somebody accused me or my husband of beating someone, let's go with my husband, since it's not generally the case that women are beating on men, but it can happen. But let's just say my husband got accused of beating a prior girlfriend. You know what the first thing he would do would be? He would call that girlfriend and have her issue a statement. Say, this is so, I mean, assuming he were innocent, he would say, I don't know why they're saying this. They're trying to tear down Meg, who's running for president. So would you be willing to put out a statement of what is real? And any woman to whom this did not happen would say, of course, this is so absurd. And she would put out a statement saying, would you please stop? You know, we dated for a short time. We're good. Where's the statement? Where is the statement from the Democrat attorney who he dated saying, this is bullshit, Daily Mail. Screw you. You've gotten it wrong. Why are 3 of this woman's friends talking to the Daily Mail, giving receipts, travel receipts, that, by the way, only this woman would have? Clearly, she gave the friends the receipts because the friends don't hold on to somebody else's travel receipts from 12 years ago. This woman clearly is not ready to deny this because I'm sure this woman ultimately, if she does choose to speak, will say it's true. And she's probably still angry about it. She's reportedly got a great life. I believe that she's moved on. And the Daily Mail reports that she's a beautiful woman, that she's a very successful professional. She's probably moved on to another husband at this point. And if she really is a Democrat, Maureen, there are consequences in those circles to her if she comes forward, right? The Democrats will turn on her. She could be hurt professionally if she comes out and puts her face with this report. They're not going to be sympathetic toward her for getting slapped in the face at Cannes. They're going to be pissed off she told.
You know who I want Oprah to go after? I want Oprah to do a sit down with this woman. I want the eyes of the most powerful public figures we have, the most so-called trusted voices. Oprah did a very cuddly, soft-focused sit-down interview with Kamala, you know, gassing her up, convincing the women of America, this is your person to vote for. Why not go after these 2 women who both have extremely disturbing stories to tell about Doug Emhoff? Where is the New York Times, which, by the way, last weekend revisited all of Trump's accusers, these old stories, revisited them all. Where's the New York Times on this? Where are any of the female op-ed writers on this? The ones
go find the police report.
Bears. Go find the police report.
Go interview the nanny. Interview the nanny.
Interview the nanny. Find out what happened to that pregnancy. You know, NDAs, as you mentioned, in this post-Me Too landscape, a lot of those get broken when serious allegations of assault are leveled. And it's sort of understood that the person who signed the NDA will probably not be made to suffer in any court for breaking it. So
I don't think Doug Emhoff is going to be suing her for 80 grand.
I don't think so either. And I think it's also complete journalistic malpractice that everyone who's traveling with Kamala, such as she travels around, this is not the number one question. How is this not the number one question? How can you ask the women of America for their vote when your husband may have a very disturbing pattern with women?
Let me tell you something. When I was at Fox News, we reported, this is long before Donald Trump came for me at that debate. We reported on his ex-wife, Ivana, claiming that Trump had raped her when they were married, and the fact that she later recanted. On my show, we reported that. Trump was very angry that we reported that and called me and yelled at me. All of this I reported in my book and later and elsewhere. It's all been out there. But my point is, I had no beef with Trump whatsoever. I like Trump. But I reported that news because it hit and it was a big deal. And Michael Cohen, Trump's top advisor at the time, defended it by saying you can't legally rape your wife. When I got to NBC, we put on accusers, yes, of Trump's, also accusers of Roy Moore, who was the Republican Senate candidate running in Alabama at the time. There were some 9 women accusing him of sexual assault. Okay, I did that, notwithstanding the fact that my sympathies have been with the right for over a decade. It's not that I'll always vote Republican. It's just I'm more right-leaning in my ideology, if I have any. And because I'm an honest reporter, and I will bring you the news, whether it hurts, quote, my side or not. Who in the left-wing media will be like that, will do that, will live up to their journalistic duty and look into whether we have a possible serial abuser about to ascend to the first gentleman position with access to God knows what kind of personnel files and opportunities and world leaders, not to mention the possible sitting president of the United States. Who will do their duty?
What I also love about this is the abject hypocrisy of this campaign, which, because it's so substance-free and devoid of specifics, is running on character, on good judgment, on values, morality, ethics. And again, they're just getting this complete pass with these very inconvenient, legitimate, credible accusations. And they are not being asked a single thing. And it is so hypocritical. And you cannot pull the wool over people's eyes this way. Like, you can try to, enact a media blackout, but because the Mail will report what we find, and because people like you will pick it up and run it, people will see this for exactly what it is. And I think that you're completely right when it comes to the slow but undeniable terminal condition the mainstream media is in.
The Daily Mail report has got, as I point out, American Express travel receipts and so on. And it also gets into great detail about what exactly happened in Cannes that night. You mentioned some of it. They call the accuser Jane. This is Emhoff's ex-girlfriend, saying they had both been drinking. There was a gigantic line for taxis. They were trying to get out of the event. Quote, Jane went, this is them quoting their source, the Mail source she called from the car crying. Jane went up to one of the valet guys, offered him 100 euros or whatever to get to the head of the line. She told me she put her hand on his shoulder, the valet's. Doug apparently thought that she was flirting and came over and slapped her in the face. She slapped him back. My impression is he had a lot to drink. She was sobbing, but she wasn't slurring her words when she called him on the phone afterward. She broke up with him that night. Now and Jane told a different friend, another female New York attorney, about it at the time, and said his attack on her came out of nowhere. This witness says, quote, they had dinner. She said Doug was very charming. It was lovely. By this point, it was between 2 and 3 a.m. Things were still raging. The party, she means. She was wearing 4-inch heels and a floor-length gown, so it was time to go. She said there had been no fight before he hit her. You would have thought it was this fairy tale trip. She put her hand on the valet's shoulder. This is the second witness. And as she was talking to him, Doug comes up. She said he turned her around by her right shoulder, and she was completely caught off guard, he hauled up and slapped her so hard she spun around. She said she was in utter shock. She was so furious, she slapped him on one side, then on the other cheek with her other hand. He then forced his way into the cab with her as she was trying to get away from him. And the friend says later, she asked Jane whether Emhoff ever apologized. She said no, but he commented about the hit she gave him. He said he was a tennis fan, explains the friend. All he said to her was, "Don't worry about it. You got one across the court and down the line." Unapologetic. But the thing is, and they never saw each other again. This is not, I wouldn't be justifying this as like, oh, they were fighting and, you know, the tempers were high. But the fact that this allegedly came out of nowhere, Maureen, that he saw this woman he'd only been dating for a couple of months place her hand on the shoulder of a stranger, a valet, whose attention she was trying to get so they could get out of there, that caused such a rage and temper that in public, in front of all these celebrities you mentioned and others, or those who were at this event, he slapped her so hard she spun in her 4-inch high heels is stunning. And if there's any truth to this, I say again, it would be the lead story on every news channel and in every publication if only Doug Emhoff and his spouse were Republicans.
There's no question about it whatsoever. And it really, I find it so infuriating and saddening at the same time that this woman, what he did to her, and every little detail that you sort of really elucidated there, it tells you a real story about who this guy really just might be. This is somebody who was dating this woman for 2 months. Not that any sort of timeline gives you an excuse for that, but they barely knew each other, you know? And she's trying to get them out of there quickly. And he feels that he is justified in humiliating her and assaulting her in public because what she dared to did he find this an affront to his masculinity? Did he find this somehow a humiliation? And what is his response when he feels that way? It's to slap a woman in the face so hard she spins around in her 4-inch heels. It's amazing she didn't fall down. And then when she tries to get away from him, oh no, you're not going to get away from him. You're not going to humiliate me like this. I'm getting in the car with you. I'm going to force my way in. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If this were my husband, as you just said, who was being accused of such a thing, my first thought would be to defend him because surely it cannot be true. And it makes me wonder. The other day you were talking about how closely Kamala and Doug were vetted because her rise was so sudden and unexpected. And it really makes me like, my question is like, what did she know about him? And when did she know it?
Genucel is back with a stunning end of summer sale. For a limited time, you get the top-selling Genucel Dark Spot Corrector right now to see those dark marks and sunspots disappear right before your eyes. Stephanie from Santa Cruz, California says, love this product. Leaves my skin looking younger, even at my age, she writes. Imagine sunspots, brown spots, discoloration, even red inflamed patches all disappearing in front of your very eyes. The Genucel guarantee, you will see results the very first day, guaranteed, or you will get your money back. Who else gives that? Take advantage of the Genucel most popular package, which also includes the classic Genucel bags and puffiness treatment and immediate effects product, all at close to 70% off. And if you're a new customer, there's a big surprise waiting for you on Genucel.com right now. Just look for the word red. Intriguing. What does it mean? Go to Genucel.com/MK today and start looking younger tomorrow. Genucel.com/MK. Get a free limited edition beauty box with your order. That's GENUCEL.com/MK. Genucel.com/MK. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.